Hello, and welcome back to the podcast where you are invited for lighthearted conversations about things that matter as you seek to live your most meaningful, beautiful, and joyful life. I'm your host, Dr. Edie Wadsworth, and I hope you enjoy your stay here at the House of Joy.
Hi guys, it's Emmy here. I'm popping in very quickly to tell you about today's episode. This episode is actually such a treat. I know you guys are going to love it. We are giving you a special behind-the-scenes sneak peek into what it's like to be a Life Mentoring School member. Life Mentoring School is my mom, Edie Wadsworth's midlife women life coaching program. I'm sure you've heard about it, but if not, you're going to love this episode because it gives a great peek into what it's like to be a member. She does monthly teachings in her program, and this episode is actually one of her teachings from May. It's actually perfect because you guys request this topic a lot on the podcast anyway, and it is parenting adult children and the relationship with your adult kids. So I know you guys are going to love this episode, and I can't wait for you to hear this teaching from Life Mentoring School. Really quickly, I wanted to let you guys know that if you watch on YouTube, remember that we have switched to the Edie Wadsworth's YouTube page. We post all of our YouTube videos on there now. But yeah, I can't wait for you guys to hear this episode. You're going to love it so much. We just appreciate you guys so much. If you don't already, go ahead and follow us on Instagram at House of Joy Podcast. We love interacting with you guys on there. But yes, I won't hold you any further. You're going to love this episode, and I can't wait for you to listen.
Today, we are mostly going to focus on adult kids, but here's what I want you to do. If you do not have adult kids yet, I want you to ask yourself how everything I'm teaching today applies to you, because I promise you it does. And when you do that, you get so much out of everything because you just decide that you're going to. So it's what I have had the most requests for lately. So, and there's some really good teaching, you guys. In your module already for nurture, all of those teachings are so good in there. So make sure if you have time this month to go back and take advantage of those. Also, a couple of announcements. The first thing is we love when you share that we're on coaching calls, teaching calls. So take your little phone, take a picture of whatever you're doing. Maybe I've got my super juice drink. Maybe you got a fun drink. Maybe you're having lunch. Maybe you're nursing a baby, whatever you're doing, and tag us on Instagram. We love resharing those. It's so fun. I also have been reading a lot lately. I've mentioned this a few times, but I've been reading it a lot more lately for a lot of different reasons. But if you haven't read any of Gabor Mate, I highly recommend that you try out a couple of his books. He's co-written a couple of his books with his son, and they have a few really awesome videos on YouTube about adult parent relationships, like parent and adult children relationships. Yes, he was on a podcast with Tim Ferriss, which is fantastic. I think I've listened to almost all of his YouTube interviews. I love him so much. I think I have all his books. The last one I read, I think, is When the Body Says No. Mostly lately, I read his books like a few years ago. Mostly lately, I've been listening to his YouTube videos, but anyways, so good. Yes, make sure you join us for encounter groups, you guys. At the event last night, first of all, I got to meet Frances. Is she here? And her sister Colleen. Hi, ladies. Also, I got to meet or get reacquainted with one of my friends from high school, Amy. So Amy, if you're here, hi, dear one. She is so adorable and looks just as cute as she did in high school. So anyways, they were at the event last night, and Amy was talking about being a little nervous to try out encounter groups. So listen, be brave. When you join an encounter group, you don't even have to show your video. You can just go on there and just watch. Now, we love it when you show your video. So show your video if you can at all. That would be great so that people can get to know you. But yeah, I knew there were some people hiding, and I think that's okay when you're first just trying to check it out to see like what it's all about. You have to show your video in order for them to see you. So you can just go on there and see what it's like. Okay. Any other announcements, Angela? We have live coaching this Thursday. I'm about to go see T Swift this weekend. I'm so excited. My daughter, Emmy, some of you have been in coach training with Emmy. She's so precious. She's graduating from college on Friday. So we're driving down Friday to have a brunch and celebration for her for graduating from college. I'm going to talk about her a little bit today in some of my examples. And then we're driving to Nashville to spend the weekend in Nashville. I'm going to get to see my baby, and we're going to see Taylor Swift on Saturday. What event did we miss? Oh, Terry, I did a live event. I spoke at a live event last night called Women's Night of Health, I think, put on by Dr. Heskett, who lives in our area. He is a great friend of mine, and we often do events together. He's crazy as a loon. So I love doing events with him. He's so fun. And there were lots of amazing people there. Some of you might know Sarah Ray on Instagram. Sarah lives in my town, and she was there, and she does paintings. And I bought a painting of hers. I'm redoing my bunk room, you guys. Grammy is getting a bunk room. I'm doing bunk queen beds, all black room, shiplap on the back. It's going to be so cute. So I bought a painting for in there. I know, so much fun lately. Okay, here we go. I am going to, in just a minute, use my board. We're going to do some creation cycles. Okay, here we go. Let me find my notes. Let me just say, y'all, that I saw Sarah. I don't know if she's on here today, but I saw Sarah Ray last night. She just joined Life Mentoring School, I think about a month ago. And she had me in tears as soon as she saw me. We grasped hands and loved on each other, and she was in tears, and she said, I cannot believe how much I've changed in 3 or 4 weeks. She said that everybody in my life is like, what are you doing? She's like, you have to join Dr. Edie's program. She was going around at the event last night going, are you in her program? You have to get in her program. And it made me so grateful, but it also just made me so grateful for all of you amazing people who, because Sarah said this, she said, I didn't even really know what I was getting into, but I just trusted you. And I just want to say thank you, because I know that a lot of you were like, I don't know what this is really. I've never joined anything like this before. And I just want to honor you for being here and doing that. And I want to honor you, especially as it relates to your relationships all around, your relationship with your husband, with the people you work with, your relationship with your kids, because here's the truth. Being a good nurturer, a good giver, a good nurturer first requires that you be a good receiver. And I want you to show up to these calls, and I want you to soak it all in. I want you to go, that was for me, and that was for me, and somehow that was even for me. I want you to, this is your time to receive. Now, I'm in coaching programs where I'm the receiver. So trust me, I am getting mine too. I don't even pretend to be some kind of expert. Mostly, I feel like what I share with you is things that I learned the hard way that, oh, you might want to try it this way because, you know, this didn't work for me. All of these, all of these years that I've been trying that. And I just want you to know that I put myself in receiver positions all the time. Even last night, even though I was speaking, my good friend Becca was speaking before me, and Becca has had a profound impact on my life. She's a therapist who's done a lot of Splankna therapy on me and on Thomas. And I just sat there while she was talking and just like took it all in. This is for me. So I want you to show up to coaching calls with the intention of, this is for me. This is how I receive and fill up my own tank so that then I can go out and bless other people. I think this way every time I show up to church, every time I walk in the church. I just take a deep breath, like, oh, thank the Lord. This is for me. I can't wait to hear the word. I can't wait to get communion. Like, it's for me. So I just want you to believe that. And more importantly than ever, is this so true for our parenting relationships. That's why I start the connection. We're in the connection cycle. So if you look at where we are right now, I do like to sometimes reorient us. For those of you who are new, we are in the connect quarter of LMS. I was trying to see if I could find it. We're in the connect quarter, and here we go. So I don't even know if you can see that, but you've probably got your planner, but we are in the connect quarter, which is April, May, and June. In April, we talked about receiving. That was because relationships begin with receiving. I want you to get so good at receiving, you all. Here's the way women, we think about ourselves is I just give all the time. That's a really tired way of thinking about your life. If that is your main thought, that probably isn't serving you, even if you can find a million pieces of evidence. I just give. No, I receive. I am so grateful for all the gifts that I intentionally receive. So April is receive, and then May is nurture. And it's in that order for a reason. Receiving who you are in the eyes of God, receiving your identity from Him, your purpose from Him, your everything. Really, really receiving so that you can be a nurturer and give. You can't give what you don't have. And I honor you for being here, because so often, if we're not in a place like this, we just repeat patterns in our relationships based on our unhealed trauma and all of our unresolved issues. Can I get an amen? And we just repeat those, and we just keep repeating them instead of intentionally deciding on purpose what we want to create in our own lives, in our own relationships. And I promise you that the very best gift you can give your kids is to wake up to your own life. I'm going to say that one more time. The very best gift you can give to your kids is to wake up to your own life. Listen, I know how it is. I'm just like you. I got all kinds of expectations on everybody. But what our kids and what we need more than anything is to wake up to our own life and our own gifts. And then we'll keep meddling. We'll stop meddling in everybody else's, right? Because we will be busy with our own lives and our own growth and transformation. Obviously, we're doing that so that we can serve others. Yes. But too often, there are areas of our lives where we're still really dependent on our kids emotionally. We need them to show up in a certain way so we can feel like we were good parents. We want them to validate us. We want our spouses to validate us. We are emotionally dependent. We've made ourselves a victim. So where are you still playing the victim in your life? Where are you still being emotionally dependent on other people, including your kids, to give you the validation that only you and God can give you? That is an inside job, just like everything else. And when you learn how to do this, when you get good at doing this, it will transform everything. Ask yourself today, where do I need to grow as a person so that my relationships can grow? People always say this with business, that you can't grow your business past your own growth. Well, I say you can't grow your relationships past your own growth. So when you're frustrated with a relationship in your life, I want you to ask yourself, where can I double down for my own growth? All righty, friends, I'm popping in real quick to talk about something that has completely changed my nighttime routine. Cozy Earth. Whether I'm winding down with my journal or doing a little porch sit, Cozy Earth has turned my evenings into the most luxurious part of my day. Their bamboo sheets and pajamas are buttery soft, breathable, and temperature regulating. So I wake up rested and not overheated. And guys, I love these PJs so much. I love them so much. I bought a pair for my whole team. I'm not even kidding. They're that good. We all feel like we're walking around wrapped in a cloud. Even my girls are hooked. After trying mine, they immediately ordered their own. Once you feel it, there's no going back. And the best part, Cozy Earth gives you 100 nights to try it risk-free, and their bedding comes with a 10-year warranty. So yes, it's luxurious, but it's also a long-term investment in your rest and well-being. Use the code HOJ for an exclusive 40% off Cozy Earth's best-selling sheets, loungewear, and more. That's code HOJ at cozyearth.com for 40% off your order. Trust me, you won't regret it. Sanctuary awaits at Cozy Earth. Your relationships can only grow and deepen as much as you are willing to grow and deepen. It's so easy. This is what most of us do. We spend a lot of time looking at how other people aren't showing up the way they should, don't we? We're looking at their shortcomings and their faults. We think we're entitled to certain things because we're their mamas or because we're their wives, and we are not. And the more you double down and do your own work and take ownership of your own growth and your own relationships, the more exponentially they will improve. This is such good news because we don't need to wait on other people to change and shift and validate us, because we spend so much of our time, we're going to dive into that, but so much of our time manipulating, controlling, expecting. We just set ourselves up, honestly, for so much disappointment in this parenting thing. And I don't want you to do that. Now, here's the caveat that I will say. A lot of what I'm talking about today are skills that you have to practice. Most of us are not very good at these. And that's okay. And we need to be patient with ourselves. We need to be kind to ourselves as we get better at this. We also need to be kind and patient to the real emotions that come up, because I put a post in LMS Facebook group yesterday. I've been reading your comments. Thank you for those of you who are so brave and honest and willing to say, like, here's where I struggle in my relationship with my kids. And, as I was reading over that, there's a lot of hurt there, right? Like when things don't turn out the way we thought, it is normal and human to feel disappointed, to feel angry, to feel betrayed, to feel hurt. All of that, normal. Let yourself feel it. But what you got to get good at doing is dealing with your own emotions, developing your own resilience so that you're not farming it out, delegating it out to your kids and to other people in your life. But a lot of times we as mamas do this to our kids. So we're going to talk about some strategies for how to do that. And then I'm going to say my very favorite way that I think you can cultivate this until the end. So the first thing is connection and communication over criticism. Okay. And I am going to teach this in creation cycles. So I am going to need your participation and help today, because sometimes I think it really helps to see it in a creation cycle so that we are super clear on what we are creating for ourselves. Now, I want you to understand, let's review really quick. Maybe we have a couple of new people or a few people who haven't been with us for very long. I taught this last night at the women's health thing, but I just want to review this really quick because this is going to relate to everything we talk about. When you have thoughts about your children, about your life in general, about your children especially, when you have thoughts about them, a lot of those thoughts, especially based on sort of the poll that I took, are thoughts that create pain for you. So maybe in the chat, for those of you who didn't see the post, I want you to tell me your most painful thought that you have about your own kids. And some of the ones that you mentioned yesterday were they've fallen away from the faith. They're making decisions that I know are not good for them. They don't communicate with us anymore. So you tell me, just type in the chat, painful thoughts that you have about your kids. Thank you, Shelley. Yes. So maybe they're struggling in their own marriages. Maybe they're going through divorce. Maybe they are making some bad decisions. Maybe you got lots of proof for that. I love it, Rachel. They don't listen. I know. Okay. Having some health issues. They don't seem to need me anymore. They don't get along together as siblings. They make accusations. They don't clean up after themselves. I'm afraid that they won't come back to the faith. My son hates me. They have anxiety. They're going to need a therapist. Okay. So lots of painful thoughts, right? Now, I want you to remember who is the person who gets to. So what happens when you have a lot of painful thoughts is your body is like a bartender and it creates an internal cocktail for you to live in, Okay. Are we clear? Who creates the cocktail that you live in your body? It's not your children. It's not your husband. I kept asking this question at the event last night and they were so quiet with their answer. I'm like, wait, who's creating the internal cocktail that you're living in? Yes, you are. So I want you to really think about that because a lot of times we think, well, I'm going to punish them because I'm going to blah, 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 blah. No, you're going to punish you and you're going to live in the internal cocktail and you're going to reap what you sow. So do you know what your body does with a cocktail of stress chemicals, which is what those are, fear and disappointment and anger and frustration, those kind of stress chemicals? When your body is exposed to that over long periods of time, it does not create health. It creates a lot of things that are not health, right? It affects you in so many ways. So I just want you to understand that as we go through here. Now, I don't want you to beat yourself up because you're human. So obviously, when you think these things, you do feel bad. But what I want you to do is learn to recognize like, oh, I am causing myself so much stress and misery with these thoughts that are creating this internal cocktail that's not giving me health in life, probably not helping me sleep and have any peace either, right? And then I'm blaming my kids. It's their fault. If they communicated better, if they didn't have so many issues, if their lives were more together. And I just want you to see the craziness that we create for ourselves when we think we're going to change anything in their lives by creating a bunch of stress and disease in our own lives. We're not going to help. And we're going to look at it here. So I just want you to remember that when we talk about the thoughts that create the feelings, I want you to think of what it's like to live in those feelings. So number one, connection over criticism. Now, you might think, well, that's not criticism that I'm labeling, that I have over my kids. It's just the truth. It doesn't matter. And let me show you why it doesn't matter. Whatever your criticism is, a lot of you said, and just say yes in the chat if you're watching this live. A lot of you said they're not practicing their faith. So a lot of people here are people, a lot of us are believers. And we have raised our kids in the faith. And some of us, I loved the ones that were like, I homeschooled my kids. I taught them the catechism. I want to go, yes. I got videos on YouTube, y'all, to prove how much I taught my children the catechism and made them memorize scripture and all of that, right? And when we do that, we think, we're going to talk about this in a second, that we're entitled to them then following that. We are not. And when we get really critical about their decisions, I want you to ask yourself, when you think they're not doing it right, they're making bad decisions, when you're critical of them, they don't have the right friends, they haven't chosen the right job, they are not communicating the way I think they should communicate, all of that, all of those critical thoughts that you have about your kids, I want you to ask yourself, when you think those thoughts, how do you feel? Just tell me in the chat. What does it feel like in your body? Check in with your body. I love it. Shelly says, I feel rotten, sad, like a failure, anxious, annoyed. Yes. Afraid. I love that one. That's a very honest one, right? Defeated. Yes. I feel like a failure. Yep. All of that, right? Now, Here's the other thing that I want you to be real clear on. When you feel that way, how do you show up to your kids? How do you show up? What do you say to them? What is your communication with them like? What are all the things that you're not saying, but that are oozing out of your pores? Yes, you're critical of them. You don't know what to say, so you avoid them. You're snarky. You're impatient. Yeah, you kind of nag them like you should have listened to me, right? So good. You get defensive. Yes. Now, are those actions leading to a result that you want? Is it working? Is it bringing them back to the faith? Or is it helping them want to communicate with you more? You guys, they don't want to talk to someone who's constantly judging them and critical of them. And even if you're not saying it, if you feel it, they feel it. They can sense that. People can sense that, right? It doesn't work. If it worked, I would say, let's keep on with the criticism and we'll just bring them all back to the faith and we'll make them all communicate the way we want them to communicate. No, because here's the thing. When someone comes at you, what do you tend to do? Like even physically, if someone came at you, like physically, even when I do this in the screen, what do? You kind of back up. And a lot of us get in a habit of coming at our kids. We got all kinds of ideas for how they should live their life, what they should do. And yes, so they withdraw. So one of the things that I notice so much in the comments is that the kids are withdrawing. And that tells me that they sense this, they feel this coming toward them. They feel this sort of critical, like, right? And nobody wants to. Do you like to be around somebody that you know is criticizing you and judging you? Yes or no? Do you like to be around that? No, none of us do. And you may mean it. I'm sure you do. We mean it in the best way. We mean it. I mean, we love them. And so we say it because we think, oh, maybe this will help. And we feel desperate and we feel scared. But when your commentary on their lives comes across as critical and criticism, it feels so intrusive to them. It feels like you're attacking them. And it makes them want to withdraw. So I want to ask you, what can you do instead? What can you do instead of criticizing them? What we really want with them is connection. So you have to ask yourself, are you thinking connecting thoughts? Does it make you feel more connected to your child to say he's not doing it right? He should communicate more. He should be back in the faith. It probably doesn't connect you to him. What if you were just maybe more curious? What if you were a little more compassionate? And those things can be very connecting. Really, at the end of the day, all that we really want is connection. They want it too. They want to be connected to you. Their truest heart, this is how God made us. Our truest heart wants to be connected to our parents. And so you have to ask yourself, what can I think that connects me to them? Maybe you think something like, I remember being that age. I remember questioning my faith. I remember don't you remember like waking up one day and going, is this even all true? Do I believe this? Like just because they've been saying this for years, is this something I actually believe? It's so normal for them to do that. And will we give them the space to do it? Will we create space where they can be their own humans and figure out their own lives? Will we create space where they could reject the faith and we still connect to them and love them? So is the way you're thinking about them connecting you from them or disconnecting you? I promise you, if your thought is they're making bad decisions, probably doesn't feel good in your body, and it probably doesn't connect you to them. What if you had more questions than answers? What if you thought, man, I wonder what they're going through that's leading them down this path? The other thing that I want to say here too is listen, I know that we all think we know what's best for our kids. I promise you, we don't. They get to have their own path. God is writing their story in their own way. What if part of their story is that they stray away for a while? Like, can we listen? Here's the other thing. This is going to step on your toes a little bit. You want them to have faith? What about you have more faith? What about you do the thing that you're wanting them to do? What about you have more faith in them? That the God who made them loves them more than you do. And that his purposes will be done in them. And that they'll eventually return. Yeah. So often this is true. The thing that we want other people to do, we should do. So I want you to think to yourself, what is it I think my child should do? Should they make better decisions? Here's what I ask myself. Where could I be making better decisions? Where could my decision for how I show up to them be better? Everything that you're wanting someone else to do, I want you to ask yourself, how can I take ownership for that? How can I do that? How can I go first? How can I strengthen my faith? How can I make more decisions that are honoring my true self, right? I mean, we're so often asking them to do things that we haven't even done or that we're just learning to do. Again, like we're upset that they're not communicating. Where can I communicate better? How am I communicating in a way that's pushing them away? Now, I'm not saying that in every instance, I'm not trying to lay blame. I want you to really hear me on this. I don't want you to take this information and go, oh, I've been doing it all wrong. I'm terrible. No, I want you to take this as this is a complicated relationship and I'm going to take ownership of every bit that I can because I love them that much, that I'm willing to learn and dig into ways that I have been communicating or thinking about this that aren't serving me or them. I'm willing to do the work. It's easy to go, they should be doing some things, but where can I do the work I need to do? So, I want you to truly believe this. It is never too late to build a better relationship. Never too late. We have had, Stevie and I have 9 kids together, and we've had some hard times. And we've had times where it felt like, oh, I don't know, is this going to get better? But and I can't even speak for how Stevie dealt with it, but how I dealt with it is I love them and I'm praying for them. And I want connection with them. And I am going to be their cheerleader, even when for periods of time we didn't even have communication sometimes. So still ask yourself, how can I, in the way I think about it, how can I communicate better? How can I show up better? How can I learn what I need to learn? And as you do that, it's crazy, you guys. This is crazy magical that when you begin to do this, I really do believe it's part of what draws them back. Number 2, respect and love over control. Respect and love over control and manipulation. So here's what we do often when things aren't going well with the children, especially the teens and adults. We start trying to manipulate them. I want you to tell me in the chat, how is it that you are right now and all of us are trying to control or manipulate your kids. Or if you don't have kids yet, somebody in your life. We're all doing this. So let's just admit it. Okay. How are we all right now trying to manipulate, control our kids? Tell me. Oh, I love that, Carrie. Sending reminders. And I do that too. And it's like, it's kind of a sweet way sometimes, right? To let me just see if I can have a little bit of control here. Oh, I love the bribing. I do some bribing myself. Yes. Obligating them to visit. Yes. Send them pictures of the messes. Yes. Ultimatums. Yep. I mean, we all do it. Okay. And I want us to ask ourselves, how can we respect and love them over trying to control them, especially as they get older? It's so hard as they transition to let go of control, right? They get to be their own people. They get to make their own decisions. And listen, trust me when I say this has pretty much been true since they were 4 or 5 years old. At a very early age, a child gets to an age where you can't control them. What you have to do is enlist them. What you have to do, honestly, is attach to them, provide this loving attachment to them so that they want to do, so that they naturally want to do more of what you might want them to do. But so early, we lose this control. We have this sort of vague idea that we have control way beyond the time when we actually have control. And it doesn't mean that you don't offer guidance, and that especially when they're still living in your house or you're still paying the bills, obviously you have a right to give some input and guidance. It doesn't mean that you can't do that, but also learning to respect their autonomy, to avoid being overly controlling or overly manipulative. A lot of times, and I love this, instead of telling them what they should do, asking them, oh, interesting that happened. What are you thinking of doing? Because we so quickly jump into the advice giver, right? Now, lots of people want my advice. You know who doesn't want my advice very much? This is so ironic. My own kids. I told Tom goes, he said something to me last week. He goes, nobody cares what you say. And I'm like, actually, there are a lot of people who kind of do care what I say. I know you happen to not be one of them. So even for me, my own kids don't want my advice most of the time. And what I love doing is asking them, like, oh, that's so interesting. Like, what were you thinking? Like, how are you thinking through that? Instead of jumping right away to, oh, I have all the answers. Here's what you should do. You guys, we don't have their answers. And we teach this in coaching. But what we have to learn how to do is respect that God gave them the Holy Spirit of their own. They have their own wisdom. They have their own inner true self that has so much wisdom. What if we really believed that about our own kids? Now, here's the funny thing, a funny story I'll tell you. My daughter, Emmy, just did coach training, and she just did like a 4-month internship with us where she was doing some work for us. And it was an official internship. She had to turn in all this stuff for her college. I have to say that there was a big part of me that's like, well, if she does an internship, she's probably going to want to stay on and work with us. Wrong. Here's what she said. She's the cutest thing ever. She graduates from college on Friday. And I don't know, a month or two ago, she's like, Mom, it has been great doing this internship, but I don't want to work for you. I'm like, okay. She's like, it's just not this, marketing thing is just not my thing. And I could have, and I wanted to be like, oh, I just thought that you would, want to and use whatever tactics we like to use. But I really do think I'm getting better at understanding this. She needs to go like be her own person and make her own way and figure out what it's like. Like literally, she turned down a job that she could have had with us that was more money per hour and more freedom for a job where she has to show up and go there and make less money per hour. And that's the one that she took. And I have to learn how to really honor and respect that she knows best for her, that she knows what she needs right now. And y'all, if she makes a mistake and she doesn't love it, she's also got the wisdom and the, sort of that inner guidance, intuition, and wisdom to figure it out. What if we just trusted that they're going to figure it out? And we're not here to control them, to make sure they go down some path that we prearranged for them. Man, I prearranged it so good, and she didn't do it. So, all of that to say, they get to live their own lives. They get to forge their own path. They get to learn their own lessons. And we get to be there on the side being their cheerleader, which brings me to number 3. Support and encourage them. Support and encouragement over expectation and entitlement. Okay, I'm going to say something that is going to sound harsh, but it's the truth. Your kids, when they get to that age, don't need you in their life. They're adults. They can now function on their own in the world. How can we show up in a way that makes them want us in their lives? They don't need us. And we feel entitled. We feel entitled, like I raised you. I spent my life, I gave up my 20s and 30s so that I could stay home with you and homeschool you and blah, 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 blah. We got all kinds of sad stories. Well, the thing of it is, you did that because that's who you wanted to be. That's the kind of parent you wanted to be. You wanted to show up and be that kind of parent. That doesn't obligate your kids to have a certain amount of communication with you, to show up a certain way in the world, to want you in their lives. Like they really don't have to have you in their lives. But what I want to do is figure out how to cultivate in my own self being the kind of person that they just want to be with. Now, secretly, what I want is for all my kids. We live on a peninsula, and I just wish they all would move in. We could have our own commune. I would keep all the grandbabies. Maybe we could just all live in the same house. That would be great. Like, I want them all to come back. I'm highly offended when they don't want to come back. Like I just want them all here all the time. But I also know that that's not what they want for their lives. Okay. And I want to show them over and over and over again that I'm just here. I'm just extra. I'm here for support and encouragement. No expectation, no entitlement to anything. I'm just so happy to be able to be a part of your life, to be able to pour into you and your children however I can. So the thing of it is, somebody said, how do we really get rid of our secret plans? I mean, sometimes I joke about it. I'm like, could y'all just all move in and we live in a commune and that would be great. But honestly, is that what I really want? I mean, sometimes I do think maybe that is what I want, but really what I want is growth and connection for me, growth and connection for them. And that might not be the best way to get it. The other thing that I will say with this, support and encouragement over expectation and entitlement. I would dare say that all of your heartache with your kids is because of your expectations. You thought this is what it should look like to have kids. You thought, oh, when I have kids, it's going to look this way. when my kids have kids, it's going to look this way. Obviously, they're going to stay close to me. We're going to have this connection. They're going to let me keep the grandkids all the time. Obviously, this is how it should be, right? We all have this expectation of what we think it should be like. And that causes us so much pain. And we look around at other people and go, well, she gets to be with her grandkids all the time, or she is really close to her children. And those cause so much pain for us. Yes, Aline, expectation is premeditated resentment. And we have to ask ourselves, how are we creating so much disappointment and resentment because it hasn't turned out how we thought? How many of you would say, this has not turned out how I thought? Having adult kids is way harder than I thought. Or navigating this is harder than I thought. This is not what I expected, when my kids got this age, or this is not what I expected when they were teenagers, or this is not even what I expected when they were toddlers. So often it's just not what you expect. So those expectations are causing a lot of pain. And this entitlement that we have that they should communicate in a certain way. How many of you have some idea of how often your kids should communicate with you? And when they don't, you're like, well, what's going on there? And then you blame them. And then you create a story behind that that's painful for you, right? I want you to think about all the things that they're doing right. I want you to think about all the ways that you love this relationship, even if it's in a season that's hard. I know, listen, you guys, I've been in hard seasons with my kids off and on. I know what it's like to be in a hard season with your kids. But I promise you, it doesn't have to affect your emotional life. You can still develop resilience. You can still have joy. You can still have love. You have to give yourself some time to process whatever you're feeling, the grief, disappointment, all of that. But in the end, we want to make ourselves, we want to do what I said at first. We want to become we want to create internally for ourselves something that's pleasant for us to live in and something that's pleasant for other people to be around. And sometimes no wonder they have a harder time being around us. We have all of these expectations. We have all this entitlement of how they should show up, of how holidays should go, of who should do what. And it's hard to live under that. And we're going to save ourselves so much heartache, and we're going to save them so much heartache when we just drop the expectations, drop the entitlement, and just be thankful that here we are alive. We've raised these kids. The thing of it is too, sometimes we get overly obsessed with this because we don't have our own dream, because we haven't moved on with our own lives. Instead of worrying so much about what they're doing, what are you doing? What are your dreams? How's your faith? Right? How are your decisions? What are you spending your days doing? And when we focus on the thing that we actually can control, which is us, and the way we think, and the way we feel, and the way we show up, then it does end up having this effect on other people. They do actually then want to be around us more. And this may take time. And I don't want you to go, oh, my kids don't want to be around me, so it's my fault. And, get in this cycle of shame. Don't do that. Just ask yourself, am I showing up for myself and for the people in my life in a way that I love, that I'm proud of, that reflects my true self? That's this place of love and joy and peace that it's hard for anybody to resist. So we don't do this because we're afraid. We're afraid that if we don't have these expectations, how many of you would say yes to this? You're afraid that if we don't have these expectations, then they're just going to go off and not become what they could have become. That we have to have these expectations in order for things to turn out okay. Well, let me ask you this. When your thought is, this relationship should be close. When your thought is that, when you don't have a close relationship with your older kids, but your thought is that you should, how do you feel? You feel disappointed. You feel sad. You feel defeated. You feel shame. You feel guilt. I must have been a bad mom or whatever all of your thoughts are and all of those feelings are. And how do you show up for yourself and for them when you think that? You show up in a needy, graspy way because you need them to be close to you in order to validate who you are as a parent. You show up in a weird, needy energy, and that's hard to be around. So when you just decide, what if, let me go here with you. What if you just decide this relationship is just what it should be at the moment? Nothing has gone wrong. This was always going to be part of our journey together. And I'm here for it. I can't wait until we get to that place where it's loving and feels more connected. And I will get to that place with them when I get to that place with myself and in my thoughts first. You can still think all the loving thoughts that you want to think. You can still have hope and belief and love, and you can still create connection. And what if you just decided nothing's gone wrong? This was always going to be part of the journey. And I am so here for this relationship and all of its twists and turns. I've had to practice that thinking with a relationship in my life. And I've gotten to such a place of just peace and joy. Like, I'm here for all the twists and turns. I love this person so much. Yes. And I see you saying that in the chat, that you feel relief, right? That feels like, oh, and then you don't feel needy for the other person to do it. The other thing that I want to say here is that, where did I lose my spot? Oh, the other thing that I wanted to say here is that I love figuring out where I can really be there for them when they need me. Like, I try to think of ways, like, how could I show up in that way? Like, for instance, my son is moving to Knoxville, which is closer to where I live. And we've got some furniture that I thought they might want. And instead of saying, and he had said like, oh, I guess we could come pick it up like the weekend that we're going to visit. So I thought to myself, how could I bless them, support them, make this easier? So I arranged for a mover to come get the furniture from here. It just was like, it wasn't even that expensive, a couple of hours, and just drive the furniture there. So then they don't have to come here, figure out how they're going to haul it or whatever. So I am always asking myself, and I think when you get to this good place in your head, like, I'm here, I'm the cheerleader, I'm the moral support. I don't have these crazy expectations or entitlements, but I just want to do what I can to be a loving support system for you. And I'm always asking myself, like, how can I do that? The other thing that I will say here is that I love sending notes and cards and packages. And I have a thing on my calendar every week where I try to think of, not just for my kids, but who could I send something to this week? Like, who am I thinking about? Who's on my mind? Who could I bless this week? How can I pour into them? We're going to the Taylor Swift concert this weekend with all the kids. So I was like, oh, what could I order? Like, I ordered these gaudy little friendship bracelets. I mean, like, stacks of friendship bracelets that have all the Taylor Swift song names on there. And I'm going to give those out when we get there. And I was just thinking of like thoughtful things that I could do for my kids that just let them know, like, I love you. I'm thinking of you. I want this to be fun for us, which brings me to my very last point. I know we need to finish, which brings me to my very last point, which is, I feel like how I have been able to do this is by creating shared experiences. So those of you who have followed me for very long know this, but I prioritize like fun stuff with my kids. We go skiing, we go on the boat. This concert was part of that. Anywhere where I can just be together with them. Listen, y'all, I ran a half marathon a week ago just so I could be with my kids. Like, I literally will do anything. And those shared experiences, like really being with each other, builds just so much connection and so much rapport and so much empathy for each other. And I love doing things that are kind of active, or I think of what the kids love. I think it was my daughter Ellie's idea to go to the Taylor Swift concert together, but it's been such a fun thing, like texting each other, oh, we should do this, or oh, I ordered this, or we should stay here, we should eat here. So doing that one event will then give you all of these chances to communicate, which is so awesome. So as you create these shared experiences, it's such a good way to strengthen relationships. Listen, Stevie and I spend a small fortune doing this. We could have a killer retirement account right now. And instead, we have killer memories with our kids. We have a retirement account. It's just not as killer as it could be, because we just decide ahead of time, like, this is what I want to create with my family. And because of our kids, except for Tom, are all grown, this is how we can connect to each other. This is how I can make sure that I see them. This is how that I can make sure we stay connected. So I make it my responsibility to do that. And we talk about it like it's something for Stevie and I that it's very intentional. Like, oh, we could set this amount of money aside this year in savings, or, into a 401k, or we can, take our kids wherever. And so we are often choosing relationship, choosing experience over, other things that we could prioritize. So I'm saying that to say that how you practically walk this out might be different depending on your circumstance and the age of your kids and all of that. But this is what has worked for us. There's nothing like it. And I think it's the reason why people often ask me, like, oh my gosh, how have you cultivated such close relationships with your stepkids, with Steve's kids? This is how. Because we try not to do like his kids, our kids. It's just all of our kids, and we all invite them, and we all go together, and now they all love each other and text each other and communicate with each other outside of us. And it's such a beautiful thing. But I think it's because we've done this from the beginning. We've done this for 25 years that we've been together. We just have done little trips together, hiked together, camped together, boated together, traveled together as much as we could. So shared experience is really, really important. All right, you guys. Well, I love you so much. I hope this gives you some good food for thought, some great ideas for how to cultivate really strong relationships with your kids. Remember, your own nurture is so important. I'm so glad you're here. I'm thankful that you're getting poured into so that you can then pour into the people that God has brought into your life, especially your kids. All right. Love you so much. I'll see you Thursday. Bye.